Good morning, everybody. I'm Larry Weishuhn. If you enjoy real-world hunting and fishing talk, you're really going to enjoy listening to my good friend Luke Clayton and his guest for the next hour.
This is Dustin Vaughn Warncke, producer of this fine show that's been airing for the past 20 years. Welcome to Outdoors with Luke Clayton and Friends. Luke has been a recognized outdoor writer for the past 4 decades and writes for a whole host of outdoor publications. Luke pens a weekly outdoors column that appears in over 50 Texas newspapers, and he's lived the outdoor lifestyle since childhood. Luke partners with such companies as Pyramid Air, the ultimate source for air guns and outdoor essentials, CVA muzzleloaders, and their fine line of CVA Cascade centerfire rifles, Smoke and Tex electric smokers, ATN thermal scopes and binoculars, the Choctaw Hunting Lodge in southeast Oklahoma, owned by the Choctaw Nation, Butcher Packer Supply, everything for the home butcher and sausage maker, the Dallas Safari Club at biggame.org, and the Saskatchewan Department of Tourism. Now, here's Luke to kick things off with his longtime friend, Larry Weishuhn.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for that nice introduction. And Mr. Whitetail, my friend Larry Weishuhn, right here with us, hot off the airplane back from Europe. Larry, welcome home, buddy.
It is good to be home. And, I tell you what, Luke, it was a fantastic trip. I had the opportunity to hunt roe deer in 3 different nations with Hornady ammo.
Bet.
Accurate, dependable. Of course, I had my stealth vision binoculars with me. And then, unfortunately, can't take handguns into Europe, so I didn't get to take my Raging Hunters. But, this entire trip came about because of the DSC, Dallas Safari Club, and the DSC Foundation. The hunt was a hunt that was donated by Stefan and Sophia Bengtson with Scandinavian pro hunters. So I've hunted all over Europe and a couple other places with in years past. And it was sold at the DSC Foundation Gala that we had last year and bought by Mark and Carol Little. Mark is on the board at DSC Foundation, and Carol's been long involved with, and a past president, I should say, of DSC. And they've both long been involved with DSC and the DSC Foundation. So it could not have been a better trip. We flew from Austin, Texas to London initially to Copenhagen, where they picked me up. We went to Sweden on a huge chunk of country that Stefan and Sophia take care of for all kinds of hunting, including pheasants and ducks and of course, roe deer, and did a bunch of stalking, as they say in Europe, which we would call still hunting. And then the first afternoon, I shot a really nice roe deer from what they call a hochsitz, and we would call a deer stand. So Carol killed a really outstanding deer on that one as well, too. The interesting thing, we've talked a little bit about roe deer in the past, they weigh about 40 to 50 pounds, stand probably about, 24 to 26 inches tall, maybe at the shoulder, maybe a little bit taller. And our little deer, they're kind of like the European version of our whitetail deer, but was able to do that. And we got back on the plane in Copenhagen and flew to Warsaw, Poland, and there rented a car and drove, probably about 3 hours from there, and from Warsaw, and to a little place town whose name I can't pronounce, but got settled in a hotel. Next morning, met the guys we were hunting with. Stefan and Sophia have a way of coming up with the finest hunting land there is to be found anywhere in Europe, and this should certainly prove to be that way. We hunted basically what was a huge apple orchard, and we started out just by driving the roads, and later that afternoon, and looking down the aisles, if you will, between the rows of the apple trees, and you'd see a deer occasionally there. Saw quite a few of them, actually, and then they had blackberries and blueberries and raspberries and wheat and strawberries and everything else planted too. So there were a lot of deer in the area. And finally that afternoon, we just went for a walk, and right at dark, I was able to they found we find a really nice roe deer, and they usually have 3 points per side, and this one actually had 4 on one side, 3 on the other, and almost a 4th point on the other side. And pretty good size set of antlers, and I shot him and hit him a little bit low. It was really dark, and he ran off, and immediately they called the guy that we were hunting with, or who had set up the hunt for Stefan and Sophia and us, and he brought a thermal drone, and the deer hadn't gone very far from where I shot him, so we recovered him, and Mark shot a really nice deer. And the next morning we were back out at it again, and we were basically hunting 2 days in each location. And that afternoon we found a really, really nice roe deer with long points and long main beams, and put a stalk on him, and I was able to put him down and spent the night, got up the next morning and flew to Scotland, and I got lucky there the first morning and shot a real nice 3x3 in a kind of a river bottom kind of situation. And so the hunt in itself, of course, Mark and Carol bought the hunt through the DSC Foundation, and all that money goes to our granting money to extremely well vetted projects across the world, but a lot of it takes place here in North America. But so, it was thankfully to Scandinavian Pro Hunters with Stefan and Sophia Bankston, and then Mark and Carol buying the hunt. My part of this was to host the hunt, make sure that everything went well, but also got to hunt. So, yeah, we'll have some footage before too very long in some of the hunts on a Sportsman's Life, and I'll be writing a bunch of articles and blogs and those kind of things well too, that they can find on different places, but also on my website, the LarryWeishuhn.net thing. But absolutely a fantastic hunt. Before we get on to a different subject, I want to talk a little bit about some plans that we have a little bit later on this fall. But Stefan and Sophia Bankston with Scandinavian Pro Hunters have been very supportive of DSC and the DSC Foundation, and their hunts are second to none. Now, they do a tremendous amount of waterfowl hunting, upland game bird hunting, fishing like you can't believe, and almost anything you'd want to hunt in Europe and even in Africa, they can arrange and do for as well too. So you can look them up on the through Google, just Scandinavian Pro Hunters, or if you go to my website and places like that, we'll get you in touch with those folks. But the waterfowl thing, they don't have any bag limits over there, and so it's not uncommon for somebody to go there, and if they really want to, they could shoot 300-400 ducks in a day. And same thing with pheasants. And then the fishing that they do is for native trout and sea run salmon, and my gosh, the fishing is out of this world. When Stefan left us there in Scotland, he was going to the very northern area of Scotland to go fishing for trout, and I got a picture from him the next day, and I mean, this looks like it's probably about a 35-inch trout, and caught on a fly. So all kinds of good things there to be had, but had a great time. And with that said, they're doing another donation that will be available through the auction at the DSC Foundation Gala, which is July 25th. But remember, everybody's coming in on July 23rd for the DSC summer show. You're going to be there part of the time. I'll be there part of the time, and want to invite everybody for that. But if they can't be there for the auction live, they can go to onlinehuntingauctions.com and look up DSC Foundation Gala, and they can bid right there. And who knows, maybe they'll be going to wherever in Europe next year with Sophia and Stefan. And like I said, you cannot find finer people, better food, greater facilities, better hunting or fishing than with those folks right there. But I've talked a bunch. I look forward to talking about it a little bit more in the future. We'll talk a little bit about some of the guns I use, because I use different rounds for every one of them that I hunted, but with using borrowed rifles. But look, you and Jeff, while I was gone, were on a fishing trip. You've talked a little bit about already, I think, in places, but you mentioned something about a hunt possibly, and when you said that for whitetail deer in some areas that are almost inaccessible by anything but boat, my God, you got my attention.
I knew that would happen, Larry. Yeah, so Jeff and I went, and a longtime friend of mine, J.C. McCollough. J.C. has been guiding hunts for waterfowl, deer, fishing trips for 40 years. I had, how you'll disconnect with, you just lose contact with people. But I've stayed in I've stayed in contact with JC, but I hadn't fished with him The last time I fished with him was actually last week, but before that, it had been about 9 years. He and I and his son, we fished the Red River together, way down from the Texoma Dam. But Jeff and I fished with JC in the river for catfish, and it's on A Sportsman's Life right now. You can watch it on carbontv.com, the digital show, or you can go to YouTube and type in A Sportsman's Life and watch it. So
fabulous show.
Yeah, it was fun, and you used an airboat because the river was down. But when it floods, the river gets stocked. Now, I'm not going to go into too much of that because guess who's next? I've got JC set up to as our next guest, and we're going to talk all about that fishing trip. But here's what we learned that I want you to know about, and our listeners too. It's an opportunity that is pretty awesome. Now, there's state land, government-owned land on the Ouachita River and the Red River up above the Texoma watershed, the lake. JC he is one heck of a hunter. Especially he bow hunts strictly, and his son who passed away, Casey, was one of the best bow shots that I've ever known in my life. But anyway, so JC, you can't quote guide hunters on this government land, you can't guide them. But here's what you can do: JC has a airboat, and he knows deer as well as anybody I've ever known. He's got stands set up on the bank in prime areas that nobody goes to. And he monitors these deer with cameras, and he spends a lot of time sitting in these stands before the season.
Right.
So he accesses these places with his clients. Now, it's in Oklahoma, so you have to have an Oklahoma license, of course.
Right.
So what we're going to do, and I told him that I'm going to talk to my friend Larry, and he says, I watch Larry on TV. I said, well, you're going to watch him up close probably this fall. Anyway, he said he's got just a Spartan camp is what we're going to hunt out of, a dry camp, put it that way.
Right.
And we're hardy people. We know how to cook.
Oh, absolutely.
We do know how to eat, so we'll survive. It's not like a lodge situation, but some of his clients stay in motels or whatever, but they kill some big old river bucks. I can only imagine. He started thumbing through his last year's on his cell phone. My gosh, I mean, 130, 160.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, yes, and then too some deer like I would shoot the first old buck I see, but yeah, those kind of deer too, mature old bucks. You can call them culls if you want to, but those type of deer. But it's some fantastic hunting, and I told him I'd talk with Mr. Whitetail and see if he'd want to join Jeff and I and him, and you're in, so we're going to do that. And what I want us to do, I shoot a compound quite a bit, enough to where I've always feel proficient with it. I'm no champion shooter, but I know what I'm doing with it.
Absolutely.
The 10-point crossbows, you've got one. I want to get us rigged up for that. It's an archery hunt. Now, he does some rifle hunts, too, in a different part of the river. I'm not sure where it's at, but we'll be down there probably in the month of October, and we will use I'm going to get me a 10-point crossbow, and I'd like to get Jeff one, too, and then you've got one. But I'd like to make this a crossbow hunt, Larry. And
I think that is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I think it'll be so much fun, but much more on that to come. But, yeah, we're going to have JC up here and just after the break, and he's going to come in and tell us about that river fishing trip. Hey, old Luke caught one that might have weighed 35 or 40 pounds, Larry.
Oh, my goodness. Congratulations. That's fantastic. I saw the footage.
I
saw the show as soon as I got back.
Yeah,
and I was just, man, it's an absolutely fantastic episode.
So much fun.
And JC and of course, Jeff putting the show together, and the videography on it was as good as any show that there's out there right
Jeff
now.
Does a great
congratulations
job
on all that.
Well, Larry, I know you got a lot to do. You're just back from your European hunt on those different nations over there. have a breather, and then next week you're going to be right back here with me, and we're gonna do some more hunting and fishing talk. How about that?
Luke, I can hardly wait.
Well, friends, Mr. Larry Weishuhn is going to tell you about the finest hunting optics that we have ever found.
Luke, these are called Stealth Vision. They come from Crockett, Texas. Dr. John McCall developed them. They're 34 millimeter tubes as opposed to the narrower tubes, so more light transmission. They have a little green light that comes on. That scope is leveled because that's when you want to pull the trigger. They have an optional lighted reticle as well too, and a whole lot of other products. And folks can learn more about them by going to stealthvision.com.
Folks, if you enjoy hunting, I want to hook you up with Ultramatic Feeders. You need to know about this company. The website is ultramaticfeeders.com. There are a one-shop stop for everything you need with hunting blinds. They have all kind of different brands of hunting blinds, game feeders, parts for feeders. Again, the website is ultramaticfeeders.com. And friends, I've been using Smoking Tex electric smokers for over 15 years, probably closer to 20 years. You can go online to smokingtex.com. They're not one of your throwaway electric smokers that you can find at some package stores. These things are made to last. I've got one that I've been using for, well, that length of time, probably 15 years. Check them out online, smokingtex.com. Well, friends, our guest again is Mr. J.C. McCollough. Now, J.C. was on recently. We were talking about a fishing trip on the Red River that we were going to do. Well, we did it, and we caught a bunch of catfish, and one big one. J.C., thanks for being back with us, buddy.
Yes, sir, Luke.
I appreciate it. Well, we had a good time fishing the Red River.
Oh, man, that was a blast. I mean, that brought back a lot of memories.
Well, we had so much fun years ago, and you know how things are. We get people... I don't know, you get going different directions, but it was good to get back with you. It felt like it did back when we first started fishing and hunting together. And that has been a long time ago.
That's been a long time, Luke, but I'm telling you.
The thing is, we're still, you're going strong.
It's just like yesterday.
That's right. And old Luke here still out there chunking rod and reels and pulling bows.
It's just like we've seen each other every day,
That's the way it is, buddy. Let's talk about, really, I'd like to talk about the Red River fishing. I think, last time you were on with us, you pointed out the fact that the flood waters, and floods are going to happen, and fish are going to come over the spillway.
Oh, yeah, that's restocking the pond, what we call that.
Yeah, well, the Red River, I can testify right now below the Eisenhower Dam. And, folks, this is, all of you in Texas listening, you know where Texoma is, north of Dallas. But folks listening to, this show becomes a podcast, and it goes to iHeart and every place else, Apple, Spotify, all those places. People are listening everywhere, JC, but Texoma is about an hour, a little over an hour north of Dallas is where we're talking.
Yes, sir. It is about an hour.
Yep. And then you got your Red River. So you don't have to have an airboat to fish that stretch. You could use a John boat or a kayak, but if you're going, doing what you're doing, the airboat is almost a must. Tell them about how we fish for those catfish, if you would.
Well, Luke, we're just fishing in the hole right there behind the dam. It's about a mile and a half stretch of water right down there to the 75 bridge. So we just hold up there in the bigger holes, and we just free line shad. If I'm striper fishing, we're using live bait, just free lining them. I'll throw out a few to get them going. But we targeted the blue cat, so we was using shad, but I just kept them alive and cut them up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you got to see how good it works. So.
Oh yeah. Just a person that's never fished that area, a tip would be to find some deep water. But you knew that bottom of that riverbed as well as
Well, that river right through there is solid rock all the way to the bridge. Big old rocks underneath the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't show many of them to y'all when you was down there, but you seen all the rock piles sticking up out of the water. It's just, it's you better know where you're going.
It's a prop eater, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it'll eat a prop up because them rocks are only about 8 6-8 inches under the water, and I mean they're great big rocks, not boulders, not rocks. We just say boulders.
Yeah, yep. Well, so, and there's a couple of, you know, what I learned fishing with you, this was just last week, was there's a couple of deeper holes, but there's a stretch there that we pull some good fish out of that first hole, and then there was a pretty long stretch in the middle of the channel, seemed like where the fish were.
Yeah, it was half a mile down the river to the gravel bar, boy. That's another, it's a little bit deeper hole, you know, 11, 12 foot of water. And boy, that thing was just, well, you seen it was full of fish. It was fast as it would hit the water.
Oh, you better be watching. And you know, the thing about a blue catfish opposed to a channel, we did catch a few channels, but mostly blues.
You always catch a few channels, but boy, they don't mix too well.
They don't like each other, probably.
No.
That larger blue, that 35-pounder, he could eat most of those channels.
Oh yeah, he could eat every. Oh, just amazing what one of them can eat, you know.
Yep. Well, but the bottom line is it's a little bit different fishing, and it takes a little getting used to in a way because you're not using a weight. Most people think about catfishing, you got a tight line. And
oh, yeah.
That's not what's going on.
You got to use a 3 or 4 ounce weight when you're out. It's better off the more, you know, we're fishing dead water. I mean, there's a little bit of movement in it because there wasn't generating or nothing, but there's always a current going down the river. Yep.
And you're sitting there on a slack line. I noticed when I did it. It took a little adjusting for me, really, JC. But throw it out there, and you know that lighter line, you can make a long cast with that cut bait. Let it, and and you're gonna get slack in that line. I thought, wait a minute. At first, I was kind of trying to keep a tight line. And,
no, you don't keep it tight whatsoever. You just let the fish do it. Keep it free lining, and I mean. It's not really a slow process. When you're doing that, man, you're catching all kinds of fish.
Yes.
I mean, they love that, pick that bait up where they can just take off with it with nothing holding back.
And you know, I learned really quick that line will have a bow in it. And it's slack line's what it is. But it does not take that blue catfish long to take the slack.
Oh, no, sir, man. He have that thing tight before he can even reach for it.
I was out there and we caught some nice ones. We caught, I don't know, one that probably around 10 pounds. And then I thought, well, we got, being an old outdoor writer, and this was a newspaper column that I ran in 51 newspapers that runs my column each week. And I was looking for a picture fish, I call it. You know, we got one 8 or 10 pounds. I thought, that'll make a nice one. And then it was kind of funny. You said, well, out there on fish off to the right or whatever. And I thought, well, okay. I threw
He
out.
didn't have no problem getting that line tight, did he?
You nailed it. I'll tell you. I threw out to the right, and that bait no more than hit the water, and there was a little slack in it. And then, wham, there was thank goodness that you had the drag set right. That's all I got to say. Because I didn't even touch the drag, but I jerked back on that thing, and I thought, whoa. At first, I thought maybe I'd hooked a big old alligator gar. I didn't know, you know. But it was about a 35 or 40-pound blue cat. We didn't weigh him, but I'll tell you one thing. It's all I could do to hold him out there at arm's length for the pictures.
We knew he was the real deal when we seen him bust that water.
Yeah, roll that big old paddle tail as wide as a boat paddle. That was fun. You know, now I have caught bigger blues, but a blue that size, something about being in in a river. I think a river fish, JC, is stronger because of the current.
They are stronger. They have to fight the current all the time, not like just swimming around in a lake or a pond, you know.
Yeah, that fish is untold years, you know, got to be many years old.
That fish was in great shape, too. I mean, he was just super, super fat. And it was a male, too.
Yes, yep. And that was probably the strongest fish that I've caught in a long time. No kidding. He bore down.
He didn't like that boat, did he?
He did.
He got up there and sit down on the bottom right there by us.
I thought I had him because I had his head coming toward the net, and all of a sudden that nose went straight down to the bottom, boy. You know. But that's the type trips that you do, and then also out on the lake. You've been guiding. Well, one of these times, and you probably don't think it's as interesting as I do, and most people, but your life on that Red River, you folks, JC grew up in a shack, and I'm telling this because he's told me so much about it. Basically, raised himself up there in the woods in a shack up there, not far from where we were fishing, wasn't it?
It was right. I mean, we could throw a rock to it.
Right up on the top bank and probably back up in there a ways.
Just right up out of the river edge.
And you built that. How big was that cabin that you kind of?
Oh, it was probably a 10 by 10. I mean, it was just little, you know.
A place to get in out of the elements, right?
Yep. That'd get me out of the rain, keep me warm.
Yep. You had your an old potbelly stove in there.
Yep, that's how I kept warm. That's what I cooked on top of.
And we're talking about by yourself too. A lot of this.
By myself, yeah. I didn't know nobody. I'd see people during the daytime. Then most of the time I fished at night. You know.
Yep. And tell us about the age you were at that stage, JC.
I was 14, 15 years old.
Yep. Well, that's how that got you going. You were right there close to all the hunting and fishing, and you basically lived on fish. And
yep, and I trapped.
Yep. Back then, you could make some money trapping too.
Yeah, and I also jugged minnows. People really didn't know about that deal, but boy, them river minnows, then we'd run them up to the bait shops, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And basically lived on that, and then you learned how to, commercial fish and how to catch them, and then started guiding when you was a little bit older than that, didn't you?
Yeah, we could get a commercial license back then. Then they went to the farm raised fish, so that knocked me out of a job. So I just went to guiding in the river,
That's right, and then guiding duck hunts, and we could talk about the old days.
Duck hunt. I love duck hunting. I got about 80-something bands, so it tells you I've killed a few.
You have, I've watched you kill a few of them I won't forget, too, shots that you made. I tell you what, and then, folks, JC also, we're going to leave his phone number, and I want you to jot it down. JC also, with his airboat, he accesses some really, really good deer hunting up above Lake Texoma on the banks of the Red, right?
The Red and the Washita, both.
Both of them. And you can't legally guide, but JC tells me, but he sets the stands, he scouts it, he gets you in there and gets you out with your game. That is a hunt that people need to know about. I know a lot. You've got a phone full of pictures that your clients and all have taken up there on that some big old.
Oh, we killed lots way bigger than Pope and Youngs. I mean, it ain't nothing to kill a Pope and Young,
That's I don't think the pictures you showed me I saw any. Well, maybe a few of those older. I showed you a few pictures of some of the ones that need to be shot, and we got in there. They got the age on them now, so they're ready to go. Yep. So folks, JC's going to give you his number. Fishing the Red, Texoma up there, or these deer hunts. It's time to plan ahead for that. Very economical hunting. You do have to buy an Oklahoma license. Of course, you may be listening from Oklahoma, but how do they call you, JC?
Luke, they can reach me at area code 580-372-0320. And just call me anytime. Okay,
and folks, remember, any of our guests, if you don't get a hold of them, catfishradio.org. You can remember that. That's the website for the radio show. Just email me through that, and I'll hook you up with them. JC, thank you a lot, buddy, and thanks for that good time. We'll looking forward to the next get-together.
I'll be ready.
Friends, this is Luke. If you're looking to refinance a mortgage or maybe buy some rural land or whatever, I want to recommend to you a company that I've had some stellar dealings with. It's Green Lending. Now, you can go online to greenlending.com. I'm going to give you the name of a guy that helped me tremendously, Jack Hamill. And I'm going to give you Jack's number. Give Jack a call if you want to refinance or you want to buy some rural land or whatever. Jack's number there at Green Lending is 440-288-8200. 223-2086. Or just go to greenlending.com and check it out. It's a great company. I had some wonderful dealings with them, and most of it was done online.
Big Sam left Seattle in the year of 92 with George Pratt, his partner, and brother Billy too. They crossed the
Friends, this segment is made possible by Platinum Cadillac and Chevrolet in Terrell, Texas. Stop by and visit with my buddy Mr. Justin Rudd and his team of experts and let them put you in a new Chevy pickup or a Cadillac or whatever you might be in the market for. Also, the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma. Check them out at ChoctawHuntingLodge.com. Also made possible by Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything airgun related. Well, friends, let's go down to Cedar Creek Lake. Now, most of you listening on our radio stations know, in Texas here, know where Cedar Creek Lake is. It's about, let's say 45 minutes southeast of Dallas. But if you're listening on a podcast, that's where Cedar Creek Lake is. Now, I just got off of a couple of days ago a fun fishing trip with Mr. Chris Webb, a guide down there that's become a good friend of mine. And Chris is our guest. We're going to talk about catching crappie in the summertime. Chris, what a fun time, and thank you for being with us.
Oh, Luke, always enjoy having you on the boat, buddy. Had a great time.
The last time we were not in the boat, we were on the bank, and we caught a ton of creek spawning catfish. What a fun deal! That was fun, and this was easier, but just as much fun, you know.
Absolutely, a little less leg work, huh?
Yep. So, and I got to, I don't fish for crappie a great deal. I just don't. But I love to, and love to eat them. Who don't? But I'm not proficient, and nor do I really want to get proficient at shooting docks. That's where you load up the rod, and I'll hold the end of that bait, let it go, and fling it up under there. But you did. We got to film some of that, and you showed us how to do it. It is something. It's not something that anybody could perfect it. If you fish a lot for crappie, you probably know how to do it. But we did that, but that wasn't the primary thing, was it, Chris?
No, absolutely. Right now, you can find fish on docks, but a lot of them are picky and hard to talk into going for a boat ride. Mm-hmm. Most of our fish we caught are catching right now, and what we caught the other day with you is all brush piles.
Yep. And now that's the type fishing I've done a bunch of. And so far back, old school to the day where you'd use your sonar, or you'd have a lot of people would put a buoy, say, or two buoys 50 feet away from that brush, and then they'd line it so nobody would fish there finding their brush piles. They wouldn't put the marker buoy right on it. But it's a summertime pattern, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, absolutely. We've transitioned into minnows, and I tell you, a lot of people kind of think with the heat the fish get turn off. But the bite's been fantastic. We're still catching limits.
Yep, and what I found, it's really a time, like in the wintertime can be really, really good on deep brush. But I've kind of liken it to that, although it's warm weather fishing. But there must be some big school. Well, I saw them on the graph. Lots of fish stack up on that brush. And we were fishing, about 12 to 18 foot of water, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say that's our sweet spot, somewhere in that 15 to 20 foot range. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. I guess what attracts the crappie is the bait fish in there, right? They're going to be holding.
So the brush will grow the algae, and the zooplankton, the phytoplankton come, the shad come, and the crappie are ambush predators, so they love to lay in it, and that's absolutely what attracts them.
Well, explain the rig, the setup, the hooks, and all that. And
yeah, so on the minnows, I'm just using a gold Aberdeen, usually a size 2, 3, depending on what I can find nowadays, and then just using a little 1/8 ounce split shot above it. As you saw, we're just lowering that minnow, and I'm actually putting you right on the fish's head, and then we're either dead sticking or slow raising. The bite is super, super soft right now. But the good news is you're going to get another opportunity if you miss, so just keep on swinging.
Okay, and describe the method. In other words, you've got the fish are there, you can see them on sonar. You got your bait down there just above them, and then they seldom hit it going down. If they want to see that thing coming up, don't they, Chris?
Yeah, growing up, we always heard don't fish below them. They won't go down and hit it. Live scopes prove that they will go down and hit it, but most of the fish, if you put it under them, it does kind of turn them off. So they do like it raising. I tell everybody right now, you're going to get 3 types of bites. You're either going to be holding it dead still. It's either going to get a little bit of a light, like he's kind of pushing up on it. He's grabbed that minnow and kind of swam up. You're going to barely lift it, and it's going to be heavy like you've hung a limb. That's him with it in his mouth. Or when you slow raise, he's just going to perch peck it real quick, boop, and it's over.
But
yes, sir. All 3 are very soft, very fast right now.
That's right. But after that, say the initial peck, we'll just call it a peck. You're down there, say 16 foot deep, and you feel a little bit of a bite, and then when you want to start coming up, it's probably better to keep on slowly bringing him up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like we were doing, Luke. That as soon as you feel anything at all, even if it feels like your minnow gets nervous, just pick that rod tip up a foot and check for heavy. If you feel heavy, then you can kind of go on into your hook set. But absolutely, like you said, just picking it up slow and then kind of easing into the heavy will keep it in that fish's mouth. As soft and as fast as they're hitting it, if you yank on it real hard, bass hook set, it'll definitely take it away from them.
Yeah, I noticed that. So I learned that, while I was fishing. So
absolutely.
So that's the depths of brush, and I think all crappie fishermen know that. Yeah, there's going to be some submerged trees and stuff like that, but a lot of people have their own brush piles, don't they?
Absolutely.
I mean, most serious crappie fishermen do. And spot lock. Old school was put that anchor out upwind and ease it back down there, and you're drifting and floating around, spooking the fish. Those days are over, aren't they, Chris?
Oh, buddy, I'm telling you, it's amazing what technology's done.
You just, you kind of position it. I was watching some of the sonar there, but you kind of position on the edge of that brush. It's probably some pretty big brush piles, it looked like.
Yeah, depending on how big the brush pile is, I try to, with you guys standing in the floor, I try to kind of put it right there on the front right nose. And I try to make sure that it's at least, 5-10 yards big enough where that spot lock's not going to hold you perfect. But as we ease around, a lot of times that sideways movement, I call it walking the dog, will trigger a bite.
Yeah, just moving it around. And
just kind of walking it sideways.
I don't know how many crappie I used to fish a lake called Lake Crockett, and drifting around. We would drift for crappie with jigs, and you don't even have to know movement or anything. And it worked that way with minnows too, but jigs were better. Just drift along, and they'll nail it like that. So that the boat was kind of swinging sometimes in the wind.
Absolutely.
It wasn't perfectly still. The baits weren't, like you might picture. As far as places to, let's say, structure, let's say we have a point or a point with some brush out on the end on a drop off. What kind of bottom structure, what kind of bottom depths contours, I should say, are you looking
so what
for?
You were describing sounds perfect right now. A lot of our fish are finished up with the spawn, moving out of the back of the arms and back towards the main lake. So just like you said, we're looking for points, secondary points, and really those ledges and edges right now. Those fish want to be suspended in this post-spawn phase. So any trees, anything that's vertical in that 16-foot range will hold fish. And then just like you kind of said, those points are kind of like the Buc-ee's gas station stop for them on that highway back out to the main lake.
Yeah, they're travel corridors.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how about a guy that doesn't have, just say maybe he's got a basic graph. Now, this is more old school, but crappie are still crappie. There, you can actually just tie up to a tree in the right depths of water. You're probably, and just.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of, we're all about modern fishing, spot lock, live scope, but that way, that still produces. We would go and fish a spot for 15, 20 minutes. If you don't get a bite, go to another one. But a lot of people still fish that way, Chris, don't they?
Absolutely. That's why folks, bridges.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, that's why they love shooting the dock. You don't have to be able to hold the boat in position. You know what I mean? Once you get there, you know what you do, where you're at, what you're doing. Absolutely. It makes it easy.
Bridge columns are really forever have been a way to catch crappie in the summer. Just because the algae that you mentioned, they're all over those columns, and the bait fish are there for the algae. A lot of people, and another plus on that, it's kind of shady under those bridges.
Yes, that's a place to be.
Yeah, but like we did, we got out early and got it done. That's I'm a summertime fisherman, but I like to get out there early, like we did.
Oh, buddy, it's nice to have the AC on for a few hours and get in the shade with the lemonade before it gets too hot.
You betcha. Well, looking ahead, of course, we're into early June now. Will this pattern hold, Chris, for Cedar?
Yes.
Yeah, Cedar Creek is where you guide, but I think wherever there's crappie, the patterns are going to be the same. I know they are.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Those fish are just now getting to where they're going for summer. They're going to be there through the duration of summer. My bite will stay fantastic until we start to get a few cold fronts in mid to late September, early October, and then once we transition, fall brawl is as good as it gets.
It definitely is. Well, we're going to leave your number, and I think you've had some folks come out and listen. I don't know which radio station because there's a whole bunch of them, and then also a podcast, which are big. But I'd always like to mention, Chris, that podcast comes secondary to our great radio stations, that the real terrestrial deal that run the show, and then it becomes a podcast. The same information, but a lot of people do listen to podcasts now. So,
absolutely.
Yep. So, folks, Chris is going to give you a phone number, and if you want to have some fun, this rascal is the guy to call. You'll have a good time with him, and make sure and bring a cooler, and go ahead and put some ice in that cooler before you get there.
Yeah, come with high expectations because we're going to catch them.
That's right. How do they call you, Chris?
And the best way to get a hold of me, 903-275-3253.
Okay, I can see some old boy rolling down the road. Where's my pencil? Give it to us one more time, if you would, please.
Yes, sir. 903-275-3253.
Chris, thanks a lot. Thanks for that fun fishing trip. It gave me some fodder for an upcoming newspaper article, too. So we'll get the next pattern. By golly, I'll be with you. I want to follow it throughout the whole year.
Look forward to it, buddy.
Folks, I want to tell you about one of my long-term partners, and that is Pyramid Air. The website is pyramidair.com. They're a one-stop shop for everything airgun related. Big bores, little bores, PCP guns, springers, you name it. All different brands, some great airgun supplies, but also a whole lot more. Archery, ammo, optics, shooting and outdoor gear, action sports, all this stuff can be found right there and ordered through Pyramid Air. So remember, go online to pyramidair.com.
The snowflakes fall as winter comes, and time just seems to fly.
Friends, I've been shooting and hunting with CVA muzzleloaders a long time. They are, in my opinion, the best muzzleloaders on the market. But did you know CVA also makes a very fine line of centerfire rifles, built to last and super accurate? Been hunting with those for several years. Check them both out, the muzzleloaders and the centerfires, online at cva.com. Folks, I want to introduce you to some good friends of mine at Dash for Cash Pawn Shop in Seagoville, Texas, located at 133 Hall Street. The phone number is 972-287-3121. Go by there and talk with Gary or Randy, the owner. They're great people. They've got some great prices. Again, that's the Dash for Cash Pawn Shop, Seagoville, Texas, 972-287-3121. Well, folks, we have a little time left in today's show, and let's talk about cooking catfish, with my good buddy Jeff Rice. Now, we were up there up on the Red River there fishing and caught all those fish, and we had a bunch to cook. And I think Jeff has been cooking some, and I know I have. Jeff, are you ready to talk about cooking catfish, buddy?
Oh, boy. Am I ever? I'm ready to eat it, too.
The only thing more fun than talking, well, catching it's more fun than talking about it, but cooking it's pretty good. There's a lot of ways to cook catfish. Now, And, folks that have only eaten commercially raised catfish, it's good. I'm not knocking it, but it's nothing compared to wild catfish. The flavor of wild catfish is way different than the bagged frozen fish that you buy. It really is. Now, most people fry catfish. I do. You do. That's a good way to do it. But, even fried fish, I like to cut it into smaller pieces. And I know you do too.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to cook fish. And, you can bake it. You can skillet fry it. You can deep fry it. I mean, there's so many, you can smoke it. I mean, there's so many different things you can do with fish, catfish in particular. And I've never had a really eaten it where it's bad any of those ways. I mean, the key is, fresh catfish. And of course, if it's fresh caught, boy, you didn't get any better than that right there. But I've cooked it so many different ways, and they're all good. They're all fun way to cook, and they're all enjoyable. So yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways, and using different herbs for your cooking, and some people will skillet fry it in like butter and garlic and some herbs, and there's so many different ways, and it's fun to try different ways and see what you like best, kind of thing.
Yep, I think that you told me that the day that we got off the river with JC McCollough up there, that evening for your wife, y'all cooked some skillet fillets. Talk about that, how you did that. That sounded really good, and it sounded a little bit like the way we cook the walleye and pike up in Saskatchewan when we're fishing up there, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, just getting a skillet, and get it good and hot. I put butter in the bottom of the skillet, and then I like to use herbs. I like to use basil with my butter, a little bit basil in there, maybe a little bit of garlic, and then just real light on the garlic, and then deep fry that stuff. Put a little lemon on top of it as you're cooking it, and flip it over, and you're just basically frying it in a skillet pan. And we've done that up in Canada. We've done walleyes that way and stuff, but that's a great way to cook a fish is just skillet fry it.
You bet it is. And instead of not really deep frying, because you're not covering it. I don't think you are you?
No, it's just a little bit of butter in the bottom of the pan. Yep.
Yeah, That's a good way to do it. And it's kind of the way we cook fish up there in Canada when we're up there for a week or so is much the way I cook it a lot of times, blacken it. But I use blackening seasoning. But the thing is, instead of, smoking hot white skillets, well, the way we do it, folks, is put some butter in there, not a whole lot, just enough so it won't stick. And then coat those fillets heavily with good blackening. Make sure and don't get blackening seasoning that has too much salt in it. We get the backwoods seasoning. You get a big old shaker of that at Cabela's, Bass Pro Shop, but it's the best that we found. And coat it with that and sear it, or let it cook in that bubble in that butter a little bit, and then sear it where it's got a little crust on it. That is awesome, Jeff. And and we were talking about frying it. One thing I don't do, and I know some people do this, is they actually put a batter on fish. I've never done that, and I don't like I don't like the idea of it. In other words, an egg batter. I mean, some people do cook fish that way, and I'm not discouraging trying it, but usually I put some Louisiana hot sauce on the fillets, and I like to cut the pieces of fish into smaller pieces instead of big chunks. It just seems to flavor better, don't you think, Jeff?
It does, and also cutting them into smaller pieces or smaller chunks, they tend to cook a little quicker, a little more evenly, that kind of thing. Yeah,
that's true. But the way I fry it, and you can buy some awesome mixes, to batter it with. I say batter. I don't want to confuse people. It's not really a batter. It's just a coating of cornmeal and flour is what it is. But you can buy the seasoned ones, and it's real good. I make a big old plastic jar that I keep meal in, but I'll make about 2/3 cornmeal and 1/3 flour. And then I'll mix, I usually just use Tony's, or you can put a mixture of different spices, garlic powder, pepper, and black pepper and salt, or even just a little bit of red pepper, and make your own seasoning like that. But that's the way I usually do it. Jeff, something that I had wanted to do for a long time. I have not made catfish stew, and the process is simple. It's, I've read about it, and you can Google it. The recipe is really easy, but I have made coubillon. Coubillon, that's the way the Cajun folks pronounce court bouillon. Court bouillon is nothing more than just a stew, if you will, soup, but you're talking about good. And you can just, I did try it it's been about a month or two ago. I made some. My wife, she's not a fish eater, but I am. And I've got a daughter and an older son that helped me out with this. But just make more or less just the Holy Trinity, celery and put your bell pepper and onion and saute that, and I put quite a few chopped tomatoes in there with it, season it up with Tony's, and I actually shook in a little Tony Chachere's instant roux in this, kind of a court bouillon, if you will, coubillon. That's the basics of a coubillon. You have your veggies in there, but what you have to be careful with, I had all that cooked down, and in the skillet, I'd say it was half full of all the ingredients, the tomatoes, a can of tomatoes in there too. You could use fresh tomatoes. And I did not put okra in this, but you could, So just when all that was seasoned and I tested it out, it was really good. Then I put the catfish fillets in, and they didn't stay in there for more than, I'm going to say they cooked on low temperature no more than 12 or 14 minutes. But man, if you cooked them longer than that, they'd just go to pieces. Right. You'd cook them to pieces. But that was a good dish, coubillon with catfish, and served it over some rice, and it went over well. So you and I'll have to try that.
Making me hungry just talking about it.
We'll have to try that at camp sometime. I think you'd like it.
Well, there is so many different things you can do. I mean, I know my wife and I will make like blackened catfish tacos, or we'll make like catfish po' boys, or just so many fish tacos in general. There's so many different ways to make it, and I tell you what, it doesn't get any better than that. But you and I are tried and true lovers of blackened catfish.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a better way. That blackened seasoning.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, you get
Good
that
stuff.
You get that done and get it. We've eaten a lot of fish together at camps and every place, folks, Jeff and I. But yeah, you get that done and get your fire up on high, not smoking hot skillets. We don't have to do that, but kind of get a little crust on there, and then squeeze some lemon on it, and then pour a little bit of that butter on top of that fillet. Oh man, Jeff, I'm telling you, it's not that we don't have some catfish in the freezer, but that's cause to go out there to the creek and catch some more pretty quick, buddy. Just talking about it,
for sure.
One last thing, we're about out of time, but one way that is really good. Now I fillet once the catfish's fillet is there, I trim the red meat just like I would with a striper. I cut, if it's a pretty good size fillet, I'll cut a V out of that lateral line, that dark colored meat. And one good way to do it, you mentioned basil a while ago. I like to take some heavy duty foil and, put it on a pan, put your fillets in there, put some little pads of butter all over it, and salt, pepper, just a little bit of garlic powder, and sweet basil, and cover it pretty good with that sweet basil, and go ahead and squeeze some fresh lemon juice on it and bake it. That, I've done striper that way a lot. But I tell you, catfish is really, Jeff, is every bit as good, in my opinion,
It sure is. And then one last way to do it too, that I've done it several times, is actually just barbecuing it right in the open barbecue pit. And you can season it like you want. And tell you what, that's just a great way to cook. You get a little bit of the smoke, from your grill and all that. Yeah. And Good stuff.
Kind of grill it, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, just grill it, just barbecue it like you would barbecue a piece of meat, and you'd be surprised how good that is. Very, very good.
You bet. I guess the key there would be covering it with some olive oil or something so it wouldn't stick, right?
Yeah.
So
you got to cover it with some oil, then you got to season it as you're grilling it, but just grill it like you would a steak. Absolutely.
Sounds tasty. Well, I'll tell you what I need to do, Jeff. I need to go out there in the freezer and start defrosting some catfish fillets. Thank you for sharing some of your methods and talking catfish with me, buddy. I think our listeners enjoy this.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to our next adventure out there on the creek or the lake, catching a bunch more catfish. It'd be a lot of fun.
Friends, I hope you've enjoyed our show. You know, this is our 20th year to be doing Catfish Radio, and I enjoy doing it now probably more than I did when I first began. It's lots of fun every week. But I want to tell you about a destination, one of my favorite destinations, and it's the Choctaw Hunting Lodge. It's up in southeast Oklahoma, maybe an hour north of Paris. I don't think it's that far, but it's an awesome place. You can go online to ChoctawHuntingLodge.com and check it out. Beautiful lodge there, trophy deer hunting on thousands of acres of Choctaw tribal land up there. It's just, if you ever go up there, you will return. A lot of eastern turkey in that part of the country, and probably our closest destination for many Texans to have a real chance to kill an eastern turkey. So that's got that going on. Exotic hunting, hog hunting. If you're an outdoor person, you'd love a visit there at the Choctaw Hunting Lodge. Folks, we are out of time. Make sure and tune in next week and be safe in the outdoors.